Hello everyone and welcome to the final part of our Lost Distillery tour through their series. The last one we're kicking off, we're leaving the biggest, boldest flavouring theory till the end. This is the Lossit Distillery. Now the Lossit Distillery was an Islay-based distillery and it was run by a guy called Malcolm McNeil, who was a farmer and a distiller, like most of the people at the time who were distilling whiskey, be it legally or illegally. It opened in 1817 and closed in 1867, so it was only open and operational for 50 years. And it was closed for two reasons. One, it was isolated, like a lot of the other whiskies in this series, and the other one was it was actually viewed as being quite outdated. Now, in 1867, you could argue a lot of things. The tax laws came in 1823, so that's 1824. So a lot of distilleries, it was now legal to make whiskey as long as you paid your tax. And a lot of distilleries were coming up with new equipment. They were bringing in new techniques and new methods. So perhaps these guys got a little bit left behind in the dust a little bit. So it was closed. Not really sure what came of Mr. McNeil after that, but we will examine his whiskey and see what's going on. So, like 3/4 of this range, it's very light in colour, which shouldn't really give you an indication of what it should taste like, but most Islay whiskies tend to be fairly light in colour anyway. Let's have a little bit of a smell. Yep, it's definitely Islay. But it reminds me quite a lot of Lechik from the Isle of Mull. So it's got that kind of vegetal, kind of root vegetable, earthy thing going on with it. It's not as peaty as you would think. There's a very light sense of smoke on the nose. But it actually smells quite herby again. It's been somewhat of a running theme for some of these whiskies. It smells a bit like coriander. It's kind of salty. Kind of coriander and parsley. There's a little bit of fruit kicking in the background, more than likely from the bourbon casks. This has probably been mainly matured in. So it's a little bit kind of pear, a little bit kind of green apple. But if this was still functioning as a distillery to this present day, you'd probably, purely based on the smell at this point, would probably use this as like an introductory style to Islay whiskey. It's not as heavy as Laphroaig, it's not as funky and strange as a Bruichladdich. It's just, it's got a bit of smoke, it's got a bit of sweetness, it's a nice entry point. Yeah, a good balance of kind of salty, light smoke on the nose with a little bit of sweetness running through the back. Let's give it a go. Doesn't change much on your palate. It's quite consistent. So again, it comes out with that little bit of slightly salty coastal style, very reminiscent of Taliskers. As I take a breath in, the smell is more of that Lechik style. It's more kind of root vegetable. It's quite earthy, but kind of sweet earthy. For anyone that watched the Lagavulin 8 review, which was last year at this point now, it's quite like that. Very, very similar indeed. Finish is a little bit dry, reminds me a little bit of Laphroaig actually. The finish is kind of chalky, a little bit of sweetness, and you get that kind of dry, fuzzy feeling all around the inside of your mouth and on your tongue. Let's taste it again. Yeah, it's a mishmash of everything really. With it being a blended malt, obviously, you can assume that's what it would be like anyway. But if it's based on the original styling of a distillery, then, like the rest of the range, it's actually very, very enjoyable. It's got a nice bit of lightness to it. It's quite easy drinking for something that's peated. I've no idea how heavily peated it is. But yeah, sweet root vegetables, nice light kind of barbecue smoke, fresh green fruits running through the kind of plethora of development from nose to palate to finish. And then a kind of welcoming, dry, slightly Laphroaig style finish to it. Very nice indeed. Can't really go wrong with that. I think that deserves like the Organaki, a good 7.5. I wanted a little bit more smoke, purely because it's the only kind of properly peated one in the range. But it hasn't disappointed. I think, again, if that was the distillery still functioning to this day, I'd probably buy their standard bottling. easy drinking, and ideal for filming YouTube videos in 28-degree weather. So thank you very much for watching, guys. That is the Lossit Distillery, and it's the final part of our Lost Distillery tour. I've been Phil, this is the Whiskey Jar, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you.